Sorry, not just yet.
Ano ai ke aloha ya kākou. Thank you for joining us today. In just a few moments, Governor Josh Green, alongside state and federal officials, as well as nonprofit leaders, will give us updates on statewide recovery efforts following Lala, the incoming storm system expected to impact our state this weekend, and philanthropic opportunities to support Hawaii's communities. Without further ado, I'd like to introduce both Governor Josh Green and National Weather Service Warning Coordination meteorologist John Bravender.
Aloha. Um, I'm grateful that you guys are here to share information. Information is probably the most important thing we can provide people as we go through these major storms. So this is a multi-part briefing. There's a lot to share. So let's dive right in. First slide, if you don't mind. Okay, so this storm was serious. You know, Lala, a hurricane, when it came past the southern part of the Big Island, Kau, left an incredible amount of destruction in its wake. What you see in this picture are shots from the ground. That's Medic 11, the ambulance that used to transport the patients to and from the hospital I worked at. Totally destroyed and lifted up, and it was actually lifted up by water coming down a road. It became a river right in front of people's houses, right next to where the 93-year-old woman passed away in that field. These are pictures of Naalehu and the amount of mud. You can see really it was mud and water, and then, of course, debris and rock that came and destroyed large parts of the town. We're doing the assessment now, but we're between storms, and so we're being careful. We will be able to, in the coming days and weeks, tell you how many houses were totally destroyed. It's a lot. A lot of the homes in Naalehu are gone. A lot of the parks are destroyed, and the school is badly damaged, the elementary school, which will give you more information. So there's significant damage, and there was also some good news. The bridges are basically intact. They are drivable. That means people will be able to get in and out of the region. We've already done workarounds, incredible work by our first responders, the whole team at Haima, and the Department of Transportation and the county guys. They moved so much debris so fast, but we'll dive into that. But that's what it looks like. That's mud that's 6, 8, 10 feet deep on some houses. And we're going to have to build probably a village, much like we did in Lahaina, to help people recover over time. Next slide. These are people that I was there with Alameda. These are people in the community. That woman up on the upper left was one of my patients 20 years ago. And it was extraordinary to see her again. They are so resilient and strong. And our National Guard have just been phenomenal. Next slide. Okay, here's what our state response looks like. I'm going to actually, at this moment, if you don't mind, call up our good General Logan to talk a little bit about the National Guard and our deployment there.
Thank you, Governor, and aloha kako. So as the slide depicts, we've had up to 240 National Guard personnel. That was at the kind of the peak of when Hurricane Lala was hitting. What I'll do is I'll talk about how we're postured here today and what we're preparing for in the next coming weekend as the next system starts moving through. You have about approximately 136 National Guard soldiers and airmen that are deployed throughout the state. The majority of those are on the island of Hawaii. The mission sets that they're doing there is high water vehicle clearance teams are able to then assist with the disaster debris clearance with their county counterparts, along with the county priorities. So we're able to open up those roads and clear the debris and try to get access to all the properties. This is going to help the families also be able to get up to after some of the needed commodities that they have. We also have a special team that's going through to go look for some of the remains that were washed away as the cemeteries were inundated by the flooding. They've recovered over 60 remains today, and they're really rushing, trying to be thoughtful, trying to be culturally, appropriate, but trying to get them secured should the heavy rains come in over the weekend. We were at a peak, like it says on the slide, of 242, and we're postured now to elevate back to that peak over the weekend as the impacts of the storm that's pending become more apparent. I'm sure Mr. Bravender is going to cover it in greater detail, but there's some scientific operations with aircraft and stuff that will give us greater forecasting capabilities or abilities to be able to posture accordingly. If you go back to February, March, and the April timeframe with the Kona low storms, we were also very concerned with some of the reservoirs. So we're going to put National Guard teams there and high water vehicles to be able to physically monitor some of the levels on the dams and the reservoirs that gave us some problems before. This is out of an abundance of caution right now, but we thought it was a best practice, and we'll carry that on into the this storm that we're going to go through. And finally, for everybody else, what I would say is take this storm very seriously. Prepare yourself. If you used up some of the supplies that you already had for Hurricane Lala, then go back to the store, get everything together, about 14 days, medicine, food, dog food or pet food. And if you have any questions, there's a lot of tools and information available at ready.hawaii.gov. It has links to other websites that also have some information. And so I urge everybody to kind of look at that and monitor the situation this weekend carefully. Thank you very much.
We so appreciate, thank you, brother. We so appreciate the National Guard, and they have just absolutely been on top of things. So there was real need. What General referred to as, to have a burial site disrupted, but to have people that could calm everyone down and begin to work through that and bring in the cultural practitioners is important. These are important moments. What also General and I are working on with Dave Lopez, our administrator at Haima is doing an incredible job with his team, is the potential to bring in a lot of extra equipment for response from the mainland, from the side of energy restoration, which we're going to talk about here in a second, because energy is still down for a lot of people. So we may bring a lot of heavy equipment from California, and it may very well come with C-17s. We're still channeling whether or not that is necessary. Support to get extra infrastructure, extra vehicles here on Big Island. 100 additional personnel arrived from California also to help restore power. Let's go to the next slide. Okay, so we're making progress. It is a tough go, as you can see, with poles down like this. The power restoration is going to take longest on the Big Island in the southern communities in Ka'u. It's also going to be a challenge in Pahoa, but they're making very good progress. We're now at 80% restoration on Big Island. We're at 99.5% restoration on Oahu, and we're at 99% on Maui. So HECO is really working hard with all these extra personnel to get everything back. But I know I know how much it's hurting people on the Big Island. So what we're doing is we're providing extra water, extra ice, extra services, which I'll get into. But that's as of 9 this morning. We had still 13,380 people without power, down, of course, from over 200,000 at its peak. You can see the number of transmission lines that have been repaired, but that still leaves others. We're already even talking about some microgrids for some of the more remote communities that may take a partnership with the U.S. military. These are partnerships that are going to have to carry forward for quite some time, but we're completely committed to that because we're going to have more storms. We're going to have more severe storms as we go forward because we know how weather has changed. Go to the next slide. Oh, forgive me. Go back one more second. For people that lost food in their refrigerators or on SNAP, we have now emergency replacement benefits going into place for SNAP recipients. And then once we get additional designations from the federal government, we will be able to go to a much broader part of the community, up to 300% of federal poverty, to get emergency SNAP benefits for people. We have some familiarity with this because we did this during the Kona lows. So our team, they're ready. They're ready to help people replace their needs. So the Department of Human Services is all over this. Next slide. Okay, so what have we done? So we're phasing in a whole of government approach. As you can see, we're working with the county, we're working with the feds. I talk to or text Secretary Mullen, Homeland Security Director, routinely. He is, of course, a bit shocked at how many disasters we've had, but they acknowledge Hawaii is central to the United States. So they're going to respect our requests and needs, and they've said as much. Also, we met with FEMA yesterday, and that's very important because as these declarations ultimately occur, then FEMA can cover typically the Fed's 3/4 of our costs. But we're not going to hesitate because the legislature did something very smart, and special mahalos to Senate President and Speaker. So they set aside $100 million for us to deal with what could come this season because we knew it was going to be a heavy season of storms. And so we have those resources to do several of the things I'm going to share. But the formal assessments are ongoing between Hawaii County and FEMA and us. There's the $100 million that's postured for response. That was already being used in very small amounts to prevent fires from spreading. General Logan had already people on call suppressing fires. Just last week, we had a significant fire in Waikoloa, and we used our air capacity to put those fires out. Needless to say, the rain and the hurricane have now taken center stage. Okay, next slide. Okay, so this is a mix of philanthropy and response. So we have a superhero named Chad Buck. Okay, Chad Buck is the founder of Hawaii Food Service Alliance. He would be horrified that I'm singling him out, but I'm going to do it anyway. Hawaii Food Service Alliance has been doing a lot for us when we've had disasters. He has already leaned into it. You can see what he's providing to communities that are affected by hurricane/tropical storm Lala. Next slide. Already 514,000 quantities or units of, look, that's how much ice and water, beef, Spam, everything that we need as basics going into the community, in addition, of course, to fixing the road so people can get out. Now, we're going to talk a little bit more about philanthropy here in a moment because there's some very big announcements, but we're getting Spam because it's very healthy and good for you from Costco to everybody. We are going to get eggs from Waialua Fresh Eggs, and Chad is just donating all of this extra resource, and there are others that are doing it. He will tell you, and of course I tease, but it's a whole of community effort. I mean, it's unbelievable how people have stepped up, neighbor to neighbor, but this particular neighbor is just, off the chart, and and with his team helping. Okay, I think we're going to go to the next slide. Okay, yes, I'm going to give this one more slide, and then we're going to get into philanthropy. In the last 24 hours, 3 individuals have stepped up, and I want to mention them, and they're working in partnership with the Hawaii Community Foundation and Terry George, who's another one of our superstars. So we're seeing people step in already, not unlike we saw with the wildfires. Mr. Yanai, who owns Uniqlo, has donated $3 million, which is going to go directly to relief. In addition to that, we saw Mark Benioff, Salesforce co-founder, and Michael Dell each also give $1 million. So $5 million came in immediately to jumpstart us. These are resources that can do things that on occasion government can't wade into on private properties or immediate actions that we want to get going. For example, we're going to rent a bunch of rooms to help people have a place to go. That's important because they may want to be away from the storm before it comes. So philanthropic support, thank you, everybody. You're going to get details about how you can support if you have some extra resources. I will just say this. Take care of your neighbor. If there's someone that's elderly on your street, make sure that they have what they need. If there's someone that has otherwise maybe got a disability or they are having troubles going through the storm, a lot of people are getting PTSD, bring them in. Take them in, share time, share resources. But this philanthropic start is exceptional. I'll pause there. I think let's go to the next slide. See? Yes. Okay. Now we're going to get some more information. And now we've got John, who's going to tell us what's up next. It's not an easy thing to hear, but we want to be very open with people.
Thank you, Governor, and thank you for the chance to talk about this too. After a hurricane like Lala, it's an event to have another tropical cyclone form just like this. In the middle of these recovery efforts, and after we've had so much rain and so much damage from this, we have a new tropical depression. So right now it's 2C. It's our second one of the season. It's far southeast of the state. It's starting to develop, expected to strengthen and move towards the islands over the next couple of days. I want to mention this is not the same as Lala. This is not, looks like the track is going to be a little further south, and the wind field is not as large, so hopefully it won't be as damaging. However, there could be a lot of rain with it as well, especially for southeastern sections of the Big Island, Kau and Puna districts, that already had the most rainfall during Hurricane Lala, that could be impacted again. Even though rainfall amounts aren't expected to be as large, given all the damage that we've had and the repairs that people are still trying to accomplish right now, we're concerned about the extra damage potential from this. Grounds in Hawaii were very porous. They drain very fast, but they're still wet. They're still saturated. And with this rain, we could have more flooding damage. And that's what we're focused on going forward. I think if you go to the next slide. Here's the track of the tropical cyclone. It's a depression now, winds 35 miles an hour. It's strengthening, forecast to strengthen to a tropical storm. This is down a little bit from our early estimates, thinking it might become a hurricane. Now it looks like it could be a high-end tropical storm farther away. The wind field not as strong over the islands with the tropical storm itself, but as we see during events like these, we can have strong gusty winds localized by our island terrain that can be very damaging. With this passing south of us, think of it like an enhanced trade wind type of pattern where you have strong gusty winds in those areas that typically see those strong winds. And then actually, the next slide. And then here's the rainfall outlook that we're looking at. Greatest rainfall potential on windward and southeast sections of Hawaii Island. East Maui also a little more rainfall. And then across the western part of the state, not as much, but still chance for heavy rain, particularly across windward sections.
And that's the worst case scenario that John was pointing out. This is as of, he and I speak every morning at 5 a.m. before the 8 a.m. meetings. But as of this morning, that was 10 to 20 inches. We are thinking maybe a little less now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, with the trend that we're seeing in the last couple of forecasts from the National Hurricane Center, shifting a bit further south, not as close, pulling back those rainfall amounts, now thinking maybe 10 to 15 inches as the storm total rainfall over the course of the weekend for southeast sections of the Big Island.
So it's a ton of rain, and you can see flooding, mudslides. We already have them. They're going to continue to evolve and be a problem. Now, if no one's in those houses, they're already covered with mud, but we can't say for sure it won't affect the school again or it won't affect the hospital again. Though the hospital is open and functioning, we could lose power again for those who got restored. So that's why we're really posturing now to get ready for this, presumably late Saturday or early Sunday.
Late Saturday, possibly beginning as early as Saturday night, but mostly Sunday, lingering into Monday is the period that we're worried about the rainfall. And like Governor mentioned, we're worried about people going through this again, and that's the concern. Why we're hitting this messaging hard with this type of tropical cyclone. Normally, as like even yesterday, this far out in time, it hadn't formed yet. We're looking forward. Like normally, we would say, "Oh yeah, pay attention to the forecast in case it becomes impactful." What we started saying yesterday and today is more, "Hey, take action now, just in case," because we've seen what happened with Lala, and we're worried about something similar because so the escape routes, egresses might be blocked or unavailable. If you can leave a floodplain area early, stay with friends or family. Think about that now so you can get ready for that before the rain starts this weekend.
And when's it going to get named, John?
The tropical cyclone gets a name when the winds reach 40 miles an hour, when it becomes a tropical storm. Right now, winds are still 35. It's still strengthening and developing, hasn't organized that much yet. So then it would be given a name from the Central Pacific list because it's within our basin. And that next name would be Moke. So it would, once it becomes a tropical storm, it would become Tropical Storm Moke.
See, we might have one more weather slide. Yes, so there you see it. Sunday is the day that we're most worried about with flash flooding and winds. And we're still hopeful that it will go far enough south. But with this amount of water, because of this circumstance, we're going to pre-position extra resources, and we're going to get some people out of the community. If you need support, you're going to hear which philanthropic groups are helping us, but we will put you up in a hotel over in Hilo or perhaps Kona. We have some Airbnbs that have been donated just to help people because they may be without power, and they may also worry more about the incoming changes again on the terrain. Next slide. Okay. These are the kind of things you need to know. Thank you, John. Fantastic. This is a concern about where the dams are, just so you have an idea. Wahiawa Dam, which you guys all learned a great deal about during the Kona lows, current level 78 feet, starts spilling over at 80 feet, goes to the top of dam at 90 feet. And we added that little amount of extra protection at the top. General has put people there also. So, we're going to watch it very carefully. We'll give you constant updates. The water rises a lot faster than it drops because the ground is saturated and it can absorb the water that's running off. So we'll give you dam updates, but we've been okay. The top of the dam can be raised by that 2 feet. And honestly, we really got pretty close during the Kona lows. Next slide. Okay, these are the websites and so on. We'll keep pushing out social media, of course. You'll get much more information probably from constant updates on the news. So thank you guys very much. And, you've got National Hurricane Center activities that can give you info, the Weather Channel. Everybody's involved and everybody's paying attention. Okay, let's go to the next slide. Okay, now, if I'm lucky, okay, good, I'll be the one that gets introduced, Terry George. So Terry, please come up, and he and his partner are going to share with us what the Hawaii Community Foundation is and how we're responding to people's needs in partnership with government.
Mahalo, Governor Green. Aloha mai kako. I really just want to share messages of hope and gratitude. And if you leave with nothing else, community is stepping up and local philanthropy is stepping up and will be with you every step of the way. Noah Thompson told me once when he was talking about challenges facing the Pacific that no one can do everything, but everyone can do something. And if we do that something together, we can do some great things. And that's really the story that I want to share. Hawaii Community Foundation is kind of like a big calabash of generosity and aloha, where we receive generous support from all sorts of individuals, including some of the wonderful contributions that Governor Green just mentioned. But even as little as $25 matters a lot. And then we take those contributions in the calabash and share them with trusted community organizations that know exactly where it needs to go. So we play that role, but there's lots of other wonderful philanthropic partners, private foundations, corporate foundations, individuals, families, United Ways, Hawaiian Council, Food Bank Hui, you name it. And so we really live in this sea of generosity and courage. This past weekend and then this coming weekend, as we've just learned, and what might happen during the rest of the hurricane season demonstrates exactly why in mid-March, during the Kona low, the Hawaii Community Foundation created a new permanent statewide fund called the Stronger Hawaii Fund. And the purpose of that is to bring together these generous people and resources and get them into support of trusted organizations and communities, not only through immediate response and recovery, but also through preparedness and long-term resilience. Disaster support doesn't happen in a straight line, and no two communities face the same challenges. So this fund allows us to direct support to trusted groups where it is needed most as needs evolve over time and listening to community. So at its core, Stronger Hawaii is about hope. Hope that help will be there when it is needed. Hope that recovery will continue long after public attention might fade, and hope that no community has to face challenges alone. So across our islands, that support is already taking shape. Just in this past week, through this Stronger Hawaii work, Hawaii Community Foundation has been privileged to deploy more than $732,000 in grants so far to 11 organizations covering 3 islands. And it's so much fun for me to be able to be a part of this sea of generosity. Just this morning, for example, we made a $27,800 grant to the Chaka Broadcasting Network. I didn't hear about that until earlier this week. But this is a community radio station that is currently broadcasting in front of the gas station at Ocean View on basically a plastic table. And we're giving them support at their request so that they can actually get solar power so that they can always provide key specific information to Ka'u residents of what's going on. And they're doing it in coordination with local government and with Vibrant Hawaii. We've also supported Malama Kula, which is supporting debris removal in upcountry Maui. We've supported Makai Foundation, also on Maui. We've supported Key Project and Kids Hurt Too. Key Project is working with community groups in Ko'ololo and Ko'olapoko. Kids Hurt Too is volunteering to help coordinate feeding and support services up and down the west coast of Oahu, and that's just for starters. We'll learn a moment about Vibrant Hawaii from one of our most important partners in this work. But our role is to steward these donations of generous donors and distribute these funds. The challenge is that we're still supporting recovery from the Kona low. We'll be supporting the recovery from Lala. We will be there before, during, and after whatever storm comes our way. And so we need everyone's kokua. If you know who to direct your resources to and you have a favorite nonprofit, go ahead and give it to them. But if you also are not sure and you want to give it to the kind of calabash that we have at Hawaii Community Foundation, where we can actually, with our expert staff, go out and get it to folks who really know what the needs are and really can make $1 work a long, long way, then you can contribute to the hawaiicommunityfoundation.org/Stronger Hawaii. Finally, our message is that we're just here for communities. We've been around for 100 years. We'll be here for 100 years to come and more. We're here for one another. And finally, to see how philanthropy and community are working together on the ground right now, I'd like to introduce from Hilo, Janice Ikeda, who is the CEO of Vibrant Hawaii, which has played a critical role in helping support and network community-driven efforts. So mahalo nui for the opportunity to share a message of hope and gratitude. Over to you, Janice.
Aloha kako, mahalo nui Terry, and mahalo to Hawaii Community Foundation and all of the donors of the Stronger Hawaii Fund. I'd also like to acknowledge and thank the Vibrant Hawaii Resilience Network that is made up of well over 100 community partners, including businesses, nonprofit organizations, and of course, our network of over 30 community-led resilience hubs, and the work that everyone is collectively and collaboratively doing to support recovery efforts across Hawaii Island. We are very, very privileged and blessed to work alongside our local partners through our resilience hubs, as well as our network of community-based social service navigators that are helping to identify emerging needs on a daily basis and coordinate resources and support recovery efforts that are happening. We all know that recovery is much more than just responding to the immediate challenges, but really it's about supporting community ownership and leadership. And that's part of restoring dignity and part of the healing process of recovery. It's empowering people to shape their own path forward. Some of our current efforts include supporting food assistance, as the governor acknowledged. A lot of folks are needing that support. We've received over 1,200 requests for assistance from households that represent well over 6,000 folks, of which 30% of those household compositions are children under the age of 18. And almost 100% of those requests for assistance include the request for replacement food. And of course, we're working with DHS to get the SNAP replacement out. But many of our working families are also needing replacement food. And so the funding that we've received is being prioritized for those immediate needs so folks can have access to food, replace the food they've lost, get the gas they need to keep their generators running, as well as their cars. We are able to mobilize all of this in a coordinated way because of an earlier investment from the Hawaii Community Foundation to support purchasing a software called Darcy. This has allowed for centralized intake of requests that are coming in both directly from community and also referred to us from Hawaii County Civil Defense Agency. We are actively adding nonprofit partners and responding agencies into this platform to allow us to quickly send referrals out. Just yesterday, sending over 200 referrals to Hawaii Animal Kuleana Alliance to help folks with pet-related needs, and sending well over 100 referrals out to Team Rubicon to help with chainsaw and debris removal. It's this kind of coordination that's marrying both technology and skill sets of organizations and resources that is really just, I think, putting us that much ahead of the game in this immediate response phase. Through it all, community-led solutions really remain at the heart of this work. And I can't say enough about the local organizations and the residents that are helping to shape these priorities and responses. And some of the groups that are helping to lead in the response on the ground include Healthy Mothers, Healthy Babies, Salvation Army. The food bank has been tremendous assistance, as well as our local food basket, our partners at the Red Cross, Catholic Charities, and helping to house folks, World Central Kitchen, who has been providing over 5,000 meals a day across our 16 points of distribution. We've had amazing partnership with Alaska Airlines, our friends over on Oahu, our Kuleana, helping to source donations that are coming over from Oahu. And we just received an amazing donation of poi from Kako Oiwi. So we're so thankful for the support we're getting, not only on ground here, but from our friends across the state and across the nation as well. In closing, I just want to again thank our friends at Hawaii Community Foundation for allowing us to quickly receive funding, to quickly mobilize. It is a blessing to be able to, when we receive a call from one of our community partners, our hubs, and they say, we have a need, to be able to say, yes, we're on it, we got you, we're here. So mahalo nui.
Thank you. And she's great. So it's incredible to see the partnerships. Even as I was listening to Vibrant Hawaii's leadership, I just got word that $50,000 donation has been made by the Norwegian Cruise Lines to help people, and that those dollars will go straight into support that they are hearing about. So it goes right into people. So that's extraordinary. And I would be remiss if I didn't also acknowledge and mahalo OHA. OHA came up with $500,000 quite quickly. So many thanks to Chair Kahele and his team for making that a priority. So we're going to see that and much, much more support. Let's get through this storm together. We might have one or two more slides. Let's see. We don't? Okay, good. The other things I wanted to share with you were the reason Vibrant Hawaii was so important. We just spoke with the leadership, the House and Senate leadership, and let's see, Representative Capella made a great point. She said, we know the families right now that need to get some time away from Nalehu and Pahala. So could we direct them directly to this great organization, to Vibrant Hawaii? And the answer is yes. So we have hotels lined up, and these are the kind of dollars that can go to that. So we will not leave anyone out. If you're in great need, if you're afraid, if you are still being affected by the storm, even though I did just get word also while we were sitting there that the power appears to be all back for Oahu and Maui customers. We just saw the announcement, but that still leaves 13,000 without service on the Big Island. So if you're hurting in that way, tell us. Tell us. We will get you a place to stay, or we'll get that. I think I can pause. Is that right, Makana? And then, okay, take some questions. Yeah.
And all of our speakers, and now we're going to move into media Q&A, and we will start with Kristen Kieri.
Yes, it's a great question. So the question was, when do we expect the FEMA disaster declaration so we know when to get the federal aid? So I think what we will do is we will wait until we have fully characterized the amount of damage. They've already told us at the highest levels that they expect us to be able to receive the federal designations. But there are two different pieces. There's public assistance for big structures, and then there's the personal assistance that we need. We are going to front load all of the resources that are necessary in this emergent response phase. Is that a good way to say, Dave? And then when we can give them, we do what's called a joint assessment, that we don't have to do the work twice. And the likelihood of getting rejected is fundamentally zero when we do the joint assessment, because we do it with them. So I would say next week. There is sometimes a need to get an emergency declaration from the federal government sooner if we're going to take advantage of, for instance, military assets, right? And so if we decide that we need to have a formal use of military, do you want to share what that description is, General? Sometimes there's that. So there's the emergency declaration, and then there's the major federal disaster declaration.
Thank you, Governor. Yes, just like the governor described, we can request for a emergency declaration prior to the next storm system coming in. And what that authorizes is direct federal assistance, so we can get access to some of the other federal assistance that's available. One of those would be the military. They are, however, posturing. We do have members of the 25th Division right now, much like they did during the Kona low storms, being postured just in case they have to be called forward if we do have problems with flooding, or if that Wahiawa Reservoir becomes a problem like it did. What the governor also alluded to the fact that we're going to look at maybe moving some of the Hawaiian Electric equipment that they're borrowing from the mainland in here much quicker to get after restoration of some of the electrical services that are on the Big Island. So that is an option, and it's basically based on the more refined forecast from the storm system that we're anticipating. I hope that answers your question.
So in summary, we actually have all the assets at our fingertips right now, but we haven't had to trigger some of the formal asks because they've given us every indication that we'll have the resources that we need. And because the legislature was forward thinking and gave us the $100 million of funding, we're not desperate in response.
There's still a lot of how and
Sure. That's a great question. So, this is only our second storm, actually. John was sharing with me, and we are anticipating 5 to 13 storms this year. So, buckle your seatbelts, right, for this. A couple things. We did ourselves a favor by passing the climate impact fee, which gives us resources. And that is available to us to use with, of course, the input of the community and the legislature. But we have pre-postured a lot of response. Much of it was for fire prevention. This is ironically also fire season. I know we're talking about a flood and giant rainstorms right now, but a lot of times we have quick depressions of barometric pressure. It gets very dry in some cases, and then a storm comes through and we see what we had with Maui in 2023. So we've done the fire breaks. We've already done some other things. We've cleaned out a lot of the streams. You know, a week or two ago, we were cleaning out pretty proactively streams in Manoa, for example, because we knew that we were going to get all these storms and the floods can be much worse. So we're better prepared than we were in the last 5 years. You asked me what I'm worried about. I'm worried that the rain was about twice as much as we kind of expected. You know, we saw the range, we got the very high end of the range. And if we end up getting these superstorms with extra precipitation because of El Nino, we could have a lot of these moments where we're worried about flooding. That's what I'm worried about right now. So in between storms, we're going to continue to clear out debris. We're going to keep a lot of people on call. One of the reasons that General and I have been talking with HECO about bringing some additional machinery in is because we think that this is going to be a several-month experience where not only do we help the people of Kau recover, but we get to use some of that equipment to harden our energy grid and to, you know, clear areas that have been a problem. We're also doing some extra road work right now. You saw probably that we already went and got $6 million of advanced dollars from the feds. Right now in Pahala, they are fixing that critical intersection where the people turn to the hospital. So we're doing stuff fast now. We're a lot better than we have been in decades in rapid response, and we now have some resources.
Hello, Governor, and on behalf of our office, we wanted to congratulate Jennifer, who's I'll be moving.
Ah, very good. Sorry, AP.
Also, we're now going to go to Mike with Aloha State.
Earlier this week.
Great question. So I can't speak directly for HECO, but I can share some of the things they've shared with me. So the purpose of bringing these extra 100 personnel from California as a part of their coalition is meant to work on that. Also, there are things like bucket trucks that are being brought in from the mainland that can give us some of that extra capacity to, you know, get up into, you know, poles and have a lot more personnel there. They are also bringing some personnel when necessary from Oahu, but they're mindful about that because we have another storm coming. So it's a balancing act. They have a coalition of, I believe, like 62 partners in the Western region that enables them to activate some of these resources. I will tell you this. We have a lot of grid hardening that we need to do for our state. That is important to me. I think that we have to have a general grid upgrade. It's something that I've expressed very openly to HECO's leadership, and they acknowledge that. It's one of the many reasons we're trying to bring in some extra resources from the federal government, from other partners to Hawaii. My discussion about other energy companies like JIRA and others, it's not about just diversifying energy. It's about having extra resources in general in a very rural state. And where I say I can take some advantage of opportunities for investment, I will try to, because we probably have to produce a lot of microgrids. They've already asked us to involve our friends with the Army Corps of Engineers in certain very remote areas like you described. So there's a lot of energy work that has to be done. Some places are going to need their power lines underground. Ironically, some other places that they put power lines underground are now affected by the flood and the way the earth moved. So these are pretty complicated challenges, and the more partners we have in the state of Hawaii for the next decade or two, the better. I think expect a lot of energy overhaul in the coming 10 years.
Mahalo, Governor. Up next, Chloe, Honolulu Star Advertising.
Hello. I'm curious. So I know a lot of people have left the really affected areas on the Big Island, but some still remain there. And I'm curious, when is there a trigger point, or when is a time where the state might ask people to evacuate? As we know, things can change really quickly.
Yes, that's a brilliant question. I was thinking about that at 3 this morning. So, had this next storm, which now is called Cyclone 2C, which is eventually going to be called Cyclone Moke, named after Drew Kanuha, our favorite moke on the Big Island. Okay, so this cyclone, had it become a hurricane, I was prepared to ask people a day or two in advance to move up into towns where we knew there would be energy and no likely, landslides. Because now the winds are trending down into the 30 to 40 mile per hour range, and because we actually have amazingly restored a lot of the infrastructure, though it's hard. People who have had their houses buried, they're living with neighbors right now, or going to move up to hotels at our recommendation. But other people tend to want to stay home because it's where they're comfortable. Their personal items are there. There always is some concern about people taking advantage during crises. Not saying that about Big Island or Hawaii, just it happens in general. So a lot of times people don't evacuate even though you ask them to. Also, having been there and lived in Ka'u and Na'alehu, these are really resilient, wonderfully stubborn people. I had a very difficult time convincing people to go up to Hilo to get a CT scan when I was their doctor. They often will not leave town. They just live their lives in an amazing way in the southern part of Big Island. So it's hard. But if we do see another hurricane that's going to hit us while we have infrastructure that's unstable, we would probably recommend major evacuations to bigger parts of the island. More well-served parts of the island where you can get to Costco or get to Walmart for services and goods.
Hello, Governor. Next, Mark with Hawaii Public Radio.
Hey, Governor. Quick question about the ground saturation, and even though the storm, it sounds like weaker, be as close, can you talk about just how much damage there might be just because the ground is still saturated?
Yeah, John, please. Yeah, John was talking about this with me the other day about how much water can get absorbed.
One thing that we see with flash flooding here in Hawaii is that water drains off the land really fast. It's clear that we don't have long stem rivers that flood for days, but the ground still, it soaks in. And when it does that, with as much rain as we had this past weekend, any more rain that comes in, more of that goes to runoff. So you get faster river rises, faster stream rises, and faster flooding. And that's one aspect. And another concern we have too is just the destabilized land. We've had landslides already, and trees blown down. That further destabilizes the grounds with the roots come up. More rain coming on top of that might give more concerns. And as we build these bypass roads and try to get people access again where they didn't have access before, are those more vulnerable as well to flooding again in areas that had flooded before? So those are the aspects with the saturated ground, the faster runoff, and the quicker rises for flash flooding.
And this is going to be a trifecta. Okay, so we had tropical storm / hurricane Lala. Now we're going to have tropical storm Moke, and then we're going to have sometime in the beginning of the month, or in or around September 1st, another tropical depression. We don't have any idea yet how bad it will be, but it seems to have begun to consolidate a few days out past the incoming storm. So that's yet another likely saturating event. Hopefully, again, they will miss us by a couple 100 miles, and then we're fine. We're getting more and more equipment and personnel in every hour into the most affected areas. Yes.
Hello, Governor. Next.
I should add that we're doing a lot of infrastructure work too. The way the Department of Transportation works is they fix roads, but they also fortify walls. They fortify other things like the bridges. And they're removing debris so that the next time that a river forms, it doesn't carry logs and trees and rocks. It's a little bit better, but you don't have much margin for error with this kind of rain.
Mahalo, Governor. Apologies. Next, Ben, Hawaii News Now.
Mahalo. A moment ago, we were talking about the possibility of triggering evacuations for those who do not stay, since we have some good idea of where the most affected area will be by rainfall from Moke, or what will be Moke. Are provisions, water, other things being pre-positioned in areas like Mahala, Na'alehu, that could still have the higher risk of being cut off again if worst case scenario happens?
Yes. Why don't I bring up a stranger to our mic? Dave, come up and tell them about the pre-positioned places. So I don't know if you guys have met David Lopez yet. He's our HIEMA administrator, and he seems shy, but this guy really knows how to kill it. Okay, go.
Thank you. Could you repeat your question, please?
Basically, considering that we have a better idea where things will be needed, water, supplies, power, in case communities like Pahala, Na'alehu, Waiuhinu may get cut off again, are supplies being pre-positioned maybe close to those areas in case they get cut off again?
There are pre-positioned supplies down there, and there's probably two considerations about that. They're good now, but if they're in the threat zone when it comes, then we lose those supplies. So the idea would be to protect what's there, and also too, if people are in danger of being in a threat and in already vulnerable position, it'd be a good idea for them to move to a safer location. So a combination of things that we can do to try to strengthen where we're at, and then also do some preventative measures and get people who are not in the safest place to safer places.
How many pods did we have, Dave? We had a lot of pods out there.
There was between 16 and 19 pods, and received really good supply, so much that they were able to back off and stage supplies again and move supplies to other locations. So very good support there.
Yes, sir. That I figured it might break you in.
Mahalo,
Yes.
Governor. Our final question, Stephen, KHON2.
Hey, Gov. Might be a question for you and the tag. Wahiawa Reservoir, it's getting close. What exactly is going on right now? And what is the plan? I mean, is evacuations?
Yes, I'll start and then Tag comes up. So the water's right now fully open. So it is draining, but it only comes down like about a foot a day. Is that what I'm hearing? So remember, the higher you get up into that reservoir, the much larger the volume is. It ends up being like billions of gallons as you get higher and higher. So for it to rise even further, it can take on a lot of water. It's at the lower levels of the reservoirs that are much narrower. That's been an issue. We haven't reached the spillway yet. So the things we have right now are advanced sensors. We put more sensors on there. And then, of course, our best personnel.
So the best way I can describe it is we have the same meetings that we have in the morning. We include the Department of Land and Natural Resources, the dam safety section, and they monitor all the dams throughout the state of Hawaii and the reservoirs. So like the governor described, it's like a funnel. So in the initial stages, it will fill up rather quickly, but as it gets wider and wider at the top, it takes a lot more rain to be able to fill it up. There's a spillway that's going to be activated as it gets to a certain level. It'll start to dissipate some of the volume. There's an electronic measuring device that you can actually access off of your phone or off your computer, so the residents can monitor that also. And we're going to have a backup system just in case. We're going to have a high water vehicle team that's stationed right there at the dam itself. And there's a pole that's painted black and white that will give you the actual height of the dam, and they'll have a communicative device to be able to report that back to both my own Joint Operations Center and Administrator Lopez's Emergency Operations Center. And we're doing all this in close concert with the City and County of Honolulu. I did talk a little bit about the contingency plans or the contingency force that the 25th Division stood up. They will also maintain capability with high water vehicles to be able to respond and either assist with moving first responders into the area should the waters become more flood-like, or also to evacuate personnel if necessary. So I think a lot more awareness is upon us from the Konolo storms last spring, and we're doing everything insofar as possible to try to be more ready and be more prepared for that inevitability.
To add to what General Logan said, we spent so much time and attention and concern during the Kona lows that we got comfortable knowing exactly how high the water is based on the graffiti that was on that spillway. I mean, we literally knew like to which letter of graffiti you had to worry about, and it was spilling over like crazy, right? Fortunately, we're not in that circumstance right now, but one or two more storms, it could get there. Needless to say, if we come to a place at any point where we're worried about threats to life or well-being, we are in constant contact with each mayor, in this case, Mayor Blangiardi, and we would give people a lot of notice. Because I will remind you, people, again, don't tend to want to leave their homes. But if we were ever going to have a compromised dam, you just have to go, because that would be a catastrophic circumstance if a dam ever was breached. We have acquired that dam. We're going through the process. We will be broadening the spillway. We will be making for a lot more capacity. We just felt that needed to be a public asset.
Mahalo, we actually have a final question. We gave her some water, and she's ready to go with her final question.
Thank you. So final question, are we expecting any more bodies to be found in that area, Naalehu? Are people missing?
To my knowledge, well, General, come on up again if you have heard anything. But I have not personally heard of any other findings. We do have some advanced search and rescue capacity. Maybe that's what he'll talk about.
Yeah, to answer the question quickly, we actually don't know. As the governor alluded to, we're trying to go door to door along with our county partners from the County of Hawaii and try to ascertain where everybody is. Some people may have went to stay at a friend's house. Some people may have went on a trip. I do not believe that there are outstanding missing persons reports that Hawaii County Police is investigating, as far as I know, from the time that we left the Big Island. But as we canvass the area and we do these wellness checks in a methodical fashion through some of the residential areas, I think that number will become smaller and smaller. So truly the answer is we don't know. But I think throughout continued application of our assets, we'll be able to narrow that number down to about zero.
Okay. So, look, thank you guys for indulging this amount of information. We're particularly thankful for all the partnerships that have gone on between the counties and the state. That has been great. And as you can see, the philanthropic community is fully engaged too. So if I may, if you have extra resources or capacity at home, be ready to help out. Be ready to help out the people that get hit hardest by these storms. This won't be the last storm of the year, but each and every time we're a little bit more prepared to provide resources. So again, thank you everyone for being so thoughtful. We will give you an update tomorrow or the next day, probably through press releases though, if we're going to see intensification of the storm. As we get more details and specifics, we know that this takes a lot of energy from you guys to come out. And to all of our friends on the Big Island, make sure you're listening very carefully about what the impact or the potential impact of the storm is. And if you feel the need to move to a different space, we will contact Vibrant Hawaii on your behalf and we'll help you out. That will, of course, also extend to all the people of the state of Hawaii. But those who are affected most, we'll tend to first. Thank you, everybody.
This formally concludes today's news conference. Mahalo and stay safe, Kako.